In the spring of 1922, deep in the Bavarian countryside of Germany, there stood a lonely farm known as Hinterkaifeck. No nearby neighbors, no streetlights, only forests, silence, and secrets. What happened on this farm would become one of the most terrifying and unsolved murder cases in European history. 6 people would be found dead, but the most horrifying part wasn't how they died. It was what happened after. Hinterkaifeck was home to the Gruber family. Andreas Gruber, his wife Cecilia, their widowed daughter Victoria, and her 2 young children. They lived a quiet, isolated life, cut off from the rest of the world. But months before the murders, Andreas noticed something disturbing: footprints in the snow. They came from the forest and stopped at the farm. No footprints ever led back. Soon after, strange things began happening. Keys went missing. Footsteps were heard in the attic. Tools vanished and reappeared. A maid quit the job, claiming the house was haunted. And yet, despite growing fear, the family stayed. They never imagined someone might already be watching them. On the night of March 31st, 1922, something lured members of the family into the barn, one by one. There, in the darkness, they were attacked with a mattock, a farming tool similar to a pickaxe. Each victim was killed silently, one after another. No screams were heard. The killer knew the farm, knew their routines, and waited patiently. After killing the adults, the murderer entered the house. 2 children, 7-year-old Cecilia and her baby brother Joseph, were brutally murdered in their beds. One of the children showed signs of having lived for hours after the attack. Clumps of her own hair were found in her hands. The most disturbing discovery came later. The bodies had been dead for several days, yet during that time, the farm remained active. Animals were fed, meals were cooked and eaten, a fire burned in the stove. Someone had stayed in the house, living among the dead. Neighbors grew concerned after days of silence. When they arrived at Hinterkaifeck, they found the family slaughtered, but nothing stolen. Money was untouched, valuables remained. This was not robbery. This was something else. Police launched one of the largest investigations of the time. Hundreds of suspects were questioned, including neighbors, former workers, even family members. No one was ever charged. No murder weapon was officially recovered. The killer vanished, just as silently as he arrived. The farm was later demolished. Locals believed it was cursed. To this day, people claim the land feels wrong, unnaturally quiet, as if something never left. Who watched the family for months? Who lived with their corpses? And how did someone enter and never leave? Over 100 years later, the Hinterkaifeck murders remain unsolved, and somewhere in the Bavarian countryside, the forest still remembers.